Society Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. We are your co-hosts. I'm Lori Cooper. This is Sandi Cooper. We're not related. And this is our second episode of The Choices We Make Define Us, Exploring Hate Through the Lens of the Holocaust. Today's episode is called I Couldn't Have Said It Better Myself.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great to be back here at HMTV. So
can we just start by kind of reminding everybody who we are, right? So we are an educational program that we offer to grades K through 8.
yes,
The idea being that we want to start as early as possible, helping kids understand the power of their choices and making good choices, and that if you make poor choices, you have a chance to make good choices the next day. And we try to empower students. You know, Superman has Superman's powers, the kids have theirs, and that power is choice.
exactly.
We do it in a scaffolding fashion so that we build every district that we go to, that we literally go from grade to grade so that the students that we meet in 4th grade we see for the next 4 years. It's, like old home week when we come back. And we do that because we're trying to build a community of knowledge, a base of knowledge, vocabulary. We're trying to build a culture in which everyone, including the teachers and the administrators, have bought into this building block of tools to fight hate.
And that includes trust.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
We need a trusting environment when we're with the children because these are some hard conversations. And so by starting with them at a young age, they get to know us, they get to trust us, and when we get to the hard stuff, they know who we are and they know that they're in a safe space.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about every year you see them, they remember different things that you don't know what they're going to remember, right?
Right.
But they do, they trust you. So I had one student, I told you this the other day because it was the one answer one question I didn't have an answer for. One kid said to me, do you remember in 4th grade when you told us that you really have a hard time with black boots because of the jack boots, but today you're wearing black boots, Mrs. Cooper, like, how you doing that? And now it was like 7th grade and they were smart enough to ask me, was I telling them the truth in 4th grade? But I was. And I did have to honor their memory and honor their question by saying, I guess somewhere along the line, I feel safe too. I couldn't have done that if I didn't feel safe. And the truth is, being in a classroom makes me feel safe.
Right.
We're all in it for the same reason. The kids and
we all
are in
need
there.
to talk about it. Yeah. And we all need to revisit it.
Yeah. So that brings us to the other important piece of this program, which I think people don't understand. Before we walk into a school, weeks before we walk into a school, we reach out to the school, to the teachers, not just the administrators, to the teachers, to say, in 2 weeks from now, I will be in your classroom. Is there anything I need to know about things that may or may not have happened, issues that you have been afraid to cover or don't know how to cover, or recurring behaviors that you want us to make sure we address?
And even some learning needs.
But what's the makeup of your classroom? Because we need to be able to come in and be aware of that. So very often we'll send out our slides ahead of time, and they'll be distributed in all different languages so that these kids who have English as a second language, they're following along. And they're able to see the same pictures that we put in, and their captions are there for them to understand. So this is not like...
And that's modeling acceptance as well.
Yes, absolutely.
That there are different cultures here, and we respect all of them.
Yeah.
And so we individualize the program.
And we make it easier for the teachers, because to put that on them would be very challenging. Mm-hmm. So by us reaching out and saying, these are the kinds of questions you can answer for me if you think you need to, so I can individualize this program for you. So when we come in, we kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, and they're crucial partners for us.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and I mean, today we're going to share with you some of the responses that the kids have to our program. And I think that you're going to see when you hear these responses, how important it is that we validate to kids that their feelings and their instincts are really important and that they need to trust them because then they can act on them too, and when whatever they're feeling, somebody else might be feeling too. And if they can name it and then use their toolbox to help mitigate hate, this is what we're after.
And you said there may be other people who feel it too. There may be people who don't feel it. And it's interesting to have kids talk to each other and kind of help each other feel it.
That's so true.
Right? We talk to kids.
Or they're feeling it and they don't know how to identify it.
Right.
And maybe someone else is able to express it in a way that that child can relate to. Yes, sometimes I have felt like that. Maybe not today, but I remember a time when I felt left out.
So is it fair to say, because I'm thinking about if someone listened in on our classes, we don't have a script, obviously, but we do have information. There's certainly information we have to get through. But there are so many times when the strict education process has to kind of like fly out the window because there's a learning going on, right?
Yeah.
And if they feel comfortable with us and they think we can help them with their answers, they do say some of the most incredible things. Do you remember this story? We were talking about Nazis. I guess one kid just overnight, we had seen them 2 days in a row. And so the second day, she says, I just have one question. Are there still Nazis? And someone said, yeah, Kanye. Now, I'd never gone down that path before.
I do remember this.
And teachers aren't going down that path. And, where are we going with this? Now, some teachers will go down that path. And the teacher who was in the room at the time did go down that path. But the interesting question that came out of that was a kid who said, so I understand that Kanye is saying things that aren't nice. And so we shouldn't respect him and we shouldn't follow him. But I'm playing a game where if I win the game, I get free tickets to get free sneakers. And the sneakers were Kanye sneakers. And he said, so how in that fourth grade, how old are they in fourth grade? 9. And I remember him saying, so if I'm not spending money on the sneakers, is that bad? And kids started to talk.
Such a great question.
I know, right? And so the kids started to talk about choices. And they looked at me and said, well, what would you do? And I said, the choices that I make define me. And wearing Kanye's sneakers for me would define me in a fashion that I wouldn't want to be defined. But everyone has to think about their choices on their own. And he just kind of looked, and you could see there was a deflated feeling of, so I have free tickets and I can't get free sneakers. But then as the kids talked, there was an empowerment that said, I'm not getting those sneakers.
Right. And they processed it that it wasn't just about financially supporting him, that it was about conceptually supporting him. Yeah. Do I want to be wearing him and sort of promoting that
and the kid sitting next to you at that table model is saying, but I'm Jewish and he said bad things about me. And so this kid is saying, well, then I'm not going to wear those sneakers because I wouldn't do that to you either.
Right.
And
the children processed it together.
Yes, it was a classroom processing something. Teacher and I just kind of sat back like this and said, let it go. But that's because we had already given them so much of that information, knowledge, the words, the vocabulary, the reading of the terrible things, the choices that the people made in Denmark. It empowered them to say, I want to make good choices.
Yeah, and we also gave them the validation that they can explore conflicting feelings.
Right.
That it's not always 100% clear. What I want to do, what I need to do, are sometimes very different. But that if they can explore both sides of that, they can come up with the best choice for them, And
I think what becomes important then, if you have to make a choice that's best for you, that you help kids realize, and that's part of why we say through the lens of the Holocaust, that we're not looking at a Jewish problem. We're looking at hate, which is a problem. The hate's the problem. And so if you're in a classroom where there are Jewish kids and non-Jewish kids, it's so empowering for me to see the non-Jewish kids kind of sit up straight and say, I wouldn't get those sneakers. It's not fair to my friend. I wouldn't do that.
Yep.
And they're beginning to own that they have a responsibility to make choices that impact other people as well. And so it's very important that this program be choices.
Exactly.
The Holocaust is the lens,
Yes.
but it's the choices.
It's really true. And so there's no better way for us to really explain it than through the
Okay.
words of the kids.
Okay,
So let's share some of the things that they have
These are the most recent
written
ones.
after they've
And so
gone
this
through
is
some of the
sixth
program.
grade, so we've now seen them for 3 years.
Yep.
They know us.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
You walk in the hallways and they're all saying, yo, right? Mrs. Cooper, whichever Mrs.
Yeah,
Cooper
we
it is.
make
yo.
it easy for
We make
them.
it easy, right. You're Mrs. Cooper. And so this just, well, I'm just going to, I really am. I'm just going to pull.
Yeah, just pull
Okay, so
because
let's
they're
pull.
all.
Let's pull.
They all show how
Okay.
incredibly sophisticated their young insights are. You know.
I am impressed with your ability to teach us and inform us about the tragedies of the Holocaust. Thank you for teaching us how we should never put people below us or say, thank goodness that wasn't me when something bad happens. It's important for us to stand together to prevent events like this from ever happening again. Sincerely, Carter. I say that we got our point across on that one.
And you know what, Sandy, what it really says to me?
What?
There's our hope for the future. Like, you know, and that's like really the essence of all of this is, can we make a shift that, you know, brings these kids toward leaning into empathy and leaning into kindness, you know, and leaning into supporting one another. And
He's got the power,
Yeah.
but you could feel that he's got control over himself.
Yeah.
You know, for now, sixth grade is 11?
11.
11. They're owning some of this, right? They're owning that they've got this. I don't know. I don't want to.
Just pick a card, any card.
I thank you. I thank you for coming to our school and sharing such important messages with us. Your presentation really opened my eyes and made me think differently about bullying and the Holocaust. When you explained how we shouldn't just say, thank God I was not there about the Holocaust, but instead try to understand how terrible it truly was, it really made me think. I now understand that it's our responsibility to learn from history so these horrible events never happen again. Your words about standing up against bullying struck me. I learned that being a silent bystander is almost like being part of the problem. They make me crazy. You taught me that even small actions like standing up for someone or telling a teacher can make a big difference in someone's life. I promise to be more aware of bullying in our school and to help others who might be getting picked on. Like you said, we all need to work together to create a kinder and more accepting community. Thank you for teaching us these valuable lessons. Your presentation has inspired me to be a better person and to make our school a safer place for everyone. Isaac.
I believe him.
I do too.
You know?
And you know, it's funny because I can't put a face to these cards, but
Right.
I want to hold them out and like, we're going to see them next year in
know,
seventh grade. And
I
go,
know.
okay, where's Isaac?
yeah, exactly,
Isaac, please stand up,
exactly.
Isaac. It's incredible.
It just, you know,
okay,
what I liked also in that card that I just want to point out is that he used the word bullying, which I think is more relevant to his everyday life
right.
than some of the vocab that we teach them that's, you know, relevant to the Holocaust. And so I love that he's taking, it's exactly what we say, that we're looking at hate through the lens of the Holocaust. And that's what he was doing there. And he was relating it to his life where he does hear the word bully a lot and he sees it. And now he knows how he wants to respond to it.
right. So that's when I say he's owned it. It's his.
Yeah, I love it.
He's those, you know, sometimes you get letters, you know, where kids are just kind of saying what they think they want you to say. These kids are saying this is what they own because
They're going
they've
deep.
taken our words and
Yeah.
our lessons and put them into their life. Thank you for coming to teach us about hate and how to prevent it from spreading. From your speaking about the Holocaust, I learned how severe hate can become. You told everyone that something similar to the Holocaust must not happen again. Your speaking reminded us how humans should be interacting with each other with respect and kindness, not prejudice and hate. I realized I should stand up for people even if their problems have no effect on me. Hateful actions might not seem too bad at the beginning, but they could become worse, and we would regret not stopping them. Oh my gosh. See, now those are not my words. I did not say those. You did not say those. These kids took what we what we're teaching them and made it theirs.
Exactly. And I want to say thank you for that to that child. And that may
next year we're going to say, "Where are you, Hayun? Where are you?"
And Hayun, may you continue to spread that message, not just in a card, but in your deeds and in your thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I imagine next year, this class, you'll be able to start the class by saying, we left last year with lots of thoughts about, who we are and how this impacted us. Can anybody tell me how their life is different now than when we last saw you?
Exactly.
And they're going to say, I remember seeing you, and I was a kid then. Right. But because of you, I know we'll hear things.
I think we're going to hear compassion. Yeah, I think we're going to hear empathy.
I do too.
And I think we're going to hear, I'm hearing it in every card, just so much joyful hope.
So I do have to jump in because I know we never talk about this, but one of my fourth grade classes that I went to, and you were with me, we did that other class together in that elementary school the other day, and their belief is that next year, we're there 3 days, that on the third day, the parents will sit in the back and watch their kids, and they wrote to ask us if we would be willing. Of course we would be.
Right.
But then their parents will get to hear this stuff. They'll see their kids oozing that power of compassion and oozing that power of respect.
True. And we spoke about that in our last episode, that, this doesn't just stay in one classroom. It moves into the school culture, and then it goes to the dinner table and creates a community culture. And the fact that the parents want to be there and will be there, that promotes that really high level change at a community level. And that's like an answer to our wishes, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I know this one I'm going to read you because this is not long, but I know it means a lot to you.
Am I going to cry?
Yes. Thank you for coming to our school to speak to me and sixth graders and letting us know about Holocaust. We learned so much about the Holocaust, and we had very good experience listening to your stories. From Hen Wen, I'm an E&L student, so maybe I didn't write good.
Oh, Henwan, did you write good?
Yeah, don't you want to see him next year?
And how brave you are. Oh, I can't wait. And Henwan, thank you for taking that risk that you felt like you might not be writing well. You wrote beautifully, and how brave you are. Thank you for your courage. Yeah.
I know.
And
that's why it is important.
And you know what? I keep learning from these kids, Sandy. They don't just learn from us.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
When I hear the words of that child who doesn't feel totally comfortable in this language writing to us, and I say, there are things in my life I should be more courageous about. Thank you for modeling that courage.
Yeah, it's funny because people always say, how do you know that this is working? And educators often have to prove it with numbers. You have to take a test.
That's
at the
so
end.
true.
One of the strangest things that I use for knowing that it's working is in 6th and 7th grade, more and more students are coming in on the days that we're there wearing T-shirts and sweatshirts that say things, right? Be kind today.
That emulate our message, right?
Yes.
And they're showing us it's not a one and done.
No, it's not
that
at all.
This has been integrated into my life.
Yeah.
And that our teachers are helping us to integrate this throughout the curriculum so that we really understand the essence of what we're talking about when we're together.
Right. And that's why, in truth, you and I have not had to ask districts to keep growing. They see it.
They ask
when
us.
we leave at 5th grade and they're going off to middle school, which is a challenging task in and of itself. We both know that we were both in middle school, teaching in middle school.
Yes.
They will say, well, we can't leave them. The kids will even say, will I not see you next year?
Yeah.
Like, we need a safe face and a brave face in our middle school transition. And so I think, it's the program's kind of being, it's moving and growing through the kids.
And I have to say, and I'm speaking on behalf of both of us, that those relationships are so meaningful to us.
Oh my God.
Like, I love that the kids look forward to being able to have these conversations, but we love watching them grow and, watching them get more sophisticated with the way they interpret what we're talking about, and their insights teach me too, So we are so lucky.
And you get to see it in so many ways. I mean, and then when you leave after being with the kids, I mean, I can't remember all of them, but I really want to see them again. You were in the room, in the auditorium with me.
Yeah.
When there was a speaker.
Oh, yes.
Who, and she was she was hardcore. She was really
an
giving.
An
elderly woman. And she was giving her story. And she
about
kept
being in the Holocaust.
And she kept dabbing her eyes, which I had never seen her really do before. Yes. But she was dabbing her eyes. You could see that she was now getting very emotional. And now this is 6th grade, so they've already had, this was 8th grade. They've already had 4 years of this. She speaks, and somewhere 10 minutes into this, she says, I can't see. My eyes aren't working. I can't see. And so we run and we get her water and we get the nurse.
And we get her seated.
But there's an auditorium of 8th grade kids. There are lots of people in the world that would say,
13-year-olds.
Good luck with that.
Right.
But we got up there and we said,
God.
It's this, she needs to
This is
regroup,
a hard story for her to tell.
Yes. And could you just give her a few minutes? And it had to have been 10 minutes.
At least.
The auditorium was dead silent.
You could hear a pin drop.
Nobody was doing what you would normally think 8th graders would do.
No.
They were hoping and wishing and sending her all the strength they could. They wanted her to be
so respectful.
Holy smokes.
It was.
You tell me if this isn't working.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And when she leaves, because I've seen this before, she leaves, they wanna like touch her. Like she's
And they're so grateful to her for sharing her difficult story.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. Let's hear more words from the kids.
Okay.
I think we have time for one or two more, right?
Oh, my goodness. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Thank you for coming to our class to teach us about the Holocaust. Your presentation made this important part of history feel meaningful to all of us in the way that you shared the stories and showed us the pictures. Your lessons taught me that we must remember what happened so we can prevent such terrible things from happening again. The stories you shared will stay with me for a long time. I now understand why we need to learn about difficult parts of history and how they affect our world today. Thank you again for being such a caring teacher and helping us to learn about this important topic. Thank you for teaching me about the Holocaust from grade to grade and trying to tell us to appreciate Jews for what they've been through. Even though I'm not Jewish, I understand what they've been through because of you. You made me learn all about the Holocaust. Thank you for everything you've made me learn, and I am looking forward to seeing you again next year. Oh, my God.
Come on. That's so special.
Yeah, there is. I know I saw one that I shared with you where she said that because she's Jewish, it's made her, and I can't find it now because there's just so many. Thank you for visiting us and to teach us about what happens if we let hate thrive from making someone feel inferior while making ourselves feel superior. It taught me that everyone is equal and that we should never make ourselves feel inferior to anybody else.
What else would you want her to learn? I mean, that is...
You're right.
She's really getting it, and she's going to grow in her understanding of it even further.
Thank you for seeing us again. Your words are touching and might cause change of heart. My family had a lot to do with the Holocaust because I'm Jewish, and some of my family was sadly killed. The more you visit, the more I feel lucky to be alive. Oh my God. Because if my direct ancestors did not get out of Europe, I would not be writing to you today. Thank you.
those are such poignant words, and I think that's where we have to.
We have to end.
And
Well,
say,
there'll be more letters.
yeah, and
Keep
say
them
thank
coming.
you so much for tuning into this episode of I Couldn't Have Said It Better Myself. The second in the choices we make define us. And until the next time, take care and be well.